After a lot of pain, Malaysian investors are starting to feel a little bit of relief, and maybe full-on excitement is on the way. We mentioned last week, right, that foreigners are coming back with a vengeance, and is continuing as we speak. Right, we look at all the sectors that are hot, which is pretty much all the sectors. But of course, leading the way is technology. Some companies that were struggling mightily are suddenly roaring back at 20-30% gains in less than a week. Right. Now, before we go on, we would like to also share with you, like, not just Malaysia, right? But also what's happening in the US.
Yeah.
And we shared this actually in our FIRL Pro group on how options are actually driving a lot of these prices up, and by extension, speculation, right? And is this a good thing or a bad thing?
Yeah. So the reason why Malaysia's market is taking a lot of attention right now is because there's a rotation happening. So the US side, there is a lot of options. Right now, the investors are actually buying into it at a record pace. So you can read the entire details over here. And what's even more astonishing is the call option volume has doubled over the last 3 years, which means a lot of people are speculating that this market will always go up and it won't go down. I mean, we have seen already ever since the April 2025 dip. Since then, there wasn't much of a correction already. Yeah, the market has always been going up, even though there is like bad news on potential war or more tariffs,
Yep.
or the Fed not cutting rates. The market is still going up. So yeah, there's a lot of bullish sentiment right now, and you can look at the graph over here. I don't think you can see it properly, but you can see this white line is at a very steep climb up over here. And if you compare with like other months, right, over here, like in the late 2024, or maybe even I would say roughly say it's like the early 2021, after there is a steep increase in call option, suddenly there'll be like a huge drop. So during that drop, right, there will be some sort of like a correction in the market. So yeah, that's why there's a rotation, and you can see that a lot of these fund managers from all around the world that invested in the US right now, they think the Asian market is very attractive. So this is you can read this article over here. There are many fund managers are now transitioning to Asian. If let's say the Asian have like a good business prospect, right, they may start to do a significant rebalancing into this, I'll say EM, which is emerging market. And then this is also another news which is by Bloomberg. There's like big funds like Blackstone or even Apollo Global. They are putting a lot of private credit into this emerging market. So you already can see there's a lot of crowd or maybe attention that is coming into this space, particularly for India, Southeast Asia, and also the Eastern Europe. Okay, well, there's a rotation, but there is a few things that you need to know. So one is that India is not doing so well. A lot of investors are actually ditching the Indian stocks, probably because of political issue, tariff or so. They haven't really have a good deal with the US, so a lot of people are dumping them. And then on top of that, you also have Thailand and Indonesia. So if you follow the news closely, right, you know that they are facing a lot of political unrest.
Yeah, it seems like in Southeast Asia, the only two countries that are more chill is us and Singapore.
Yes,
right.
correct,
I mean,
correct.
Singapore is not really a surprise, but the surprise is us, right?
Yeah, and also to a certain extent, Vietnam. But then you also can see that some investors are taking profit from Vietnam because it really went up a lot.
Yeah.
So now the big investors have to choose which Asian country or Southeast Asian country would they pick. So you can see already Thailand and Philippines. Philippines also is not doing so well because of political unrest. Vietnam already is going up a lot. That's why they're taking profit. So right now, the only options available is actually just Malaysia and Singapore to exact.
Yeah, I'm not sure why Malaysia was hit so hard, because our politics have been stable in the past 1 year plus or more. But I did learn one new thing actually that I never thought about when it comes to the Malaysian stock market, which is that people actually really compare us versus the other region when they're making big decisions for investment, for foreigners especially. I never really thought about that, right? Because we are always so fixated into how this company is doing and how our economy is doing. But we don't realize that even though I think our economic GDP is actually down this year, or it's not as good this year, or it's muted, certainly muted compared to 2022. If the other countries are worse off than us, then people will prefer us. You know what I mean? So, I mean, just to give an example, we could be growing, let's say, at a very good pace of 5+%, right? But if everybody else is politically stable and they are also growing at 6%, Vietnam 5%, 6%, people say, hey, Vietnam is like a poorer country, so that there's more upside. Same with Indonesia, big country, big consumer market. Same with Singapore, right? Stable financial center, whatever. They'll opt for that, right?
Yes.
Because Malaysia is a bit like people don't quite know what the stock market branding is. If you think about it, of Malaysia, right? You think Taiwan, you think like semiconductors, right? You think Vietnam, you think China light manufacturing. You think Indonesia, largest population and largest economy, right, in ASEAN. You think Singapore, you think a certain thing. What is Malaysia? It's like rojak.
Yeah, very rojak.
So now I learned actually we're not like doing great in the economy. We're doing okay, but just the rest are all much worse. So then that's why we get the benefit. So that's a new thing that I learned actually.
Yeah, and also I think I read a news or article that during bad times, like let's say the US, when they are going like some sort of like a recession, tiny recession, somehow Malaysia's stock market was actually better off.
Than I
the
think the
US.
best example would be our banks during 2008. I think that's the classic example, right? Because you would think that because we are so like old, our systems, and we are so conservative that we were not caught up in the whole storm in the US because we didn't have the financial instruments to be connected to the US.
Somehow we become like a safe haven asset.
Yeah, because we are, back in the Stone Age, right? When it comes to our finances. So we didn't get, you cannot do an EMP shock to a place with no electricity, that don't use fire, electricity.
Yep, fair enough. Okay, so we also did compile like a few PE ratios across through these a few countries over here. Actually, this is the world PE ratio. So Malaysia is right over here. We are trading at about 14.79 times. We are still below Singapore, Japan, Taiwan, Vietnam, and also India. But we are more valuable as compared to like Thailand, Indonesia, South Korea, China, and Philippines. So we'll see whether our KLCI index, will there be a re-rating or de-rating by foreigners. So far, it's leaning towards re-rating, and hopefully we can take over Singapore, which is about 15.79 times. And on top of why we think there will be a re-rating, right, is that the foreign shareholding in Malaysia equity market is actually at its all-time low. So over here, August 2025, they recorded about 18.8%. And according to the latest issue by The Edge, their holdings is actually around 18.7% as of September 2025, which is near the 2003 18.1%. So you can say that the foreigners think that we are still like facing some sort of like trough or recession. So this is something like I would say, whether is it going to be a rebound, but definitely there's some sort of margin of safety if you want to invest at current price point. So hopefully more foreigners will come in, and if let's say they manage to like rebound back to like 90 to 20%, I think KLCI index would be much higher. Probably can reach like even TA Securities target 1,660 or maybe even 1,700, which is what Tan Tembu also projected is going to be around there. So hopefully we'll see that soon. And if let's say foreigners start to come in, right, definitely retailers will FOMO. So this is also a chart where it shows the domestic retail participation in equity trades. Right now, it's close to at low already. As usual, when there is no liquidity, there's no action
no excitement
in the market, no excitement. So I noticed that most of Malaysian investors actually shift their position to US because that's where all the the fun is happening. And also crypto, because it's also like going up as faster as Malaysia. So yeah, we will definitely see retailers who follow for more, assuming if let's say these few days, right, if let's say the KLCI index continuously like post like gains, they will definitely come back in again. Okay, so and so the reason why we think that how we know that retailers will FOMO is there's a few stocks that went up a lot in just a few days or even like just 1 month. So you can see over here Mitra Jaya, XOX Tech, KUB, and also Notion VTech. All of these companies are up 40 to 50%. XOX Technology, this one is a very, very special case. They are up 283% in just, I would say 2 weeks. Yeah. So there's like a massive, bullish sentiment going on in the Malaysia market. Not only just the big cap, mid cap, but also the micro caps. And also we experience it ourselves. It's getting very easier to make money, especially in the current sentiment. We are facing like a bull market. So this is one of our trading that we did for FIRL Pro. This is real money, not fake money. You can see that we bought this company called KUB around, I think it was like a few days ago, the 1st of October and also the 2nd of October. And then we sold it at an 18 to 20% gain in just 2 days, 1 to 2 days.
Yeah. We were not trying to speculate actually. We thought that there's something interesting developing. It's just that after we kept researching the next 2 days, we just didn't quite know what is the cause. And that's when we realized maybe it's non-fundamental factors, let's just say.
Exactly. But we could be wrong. I mean, who knows? Maybe they decided to announce.
Yeah,
that,
actually we are
Malaysia-
somewhat wrong already because it's like above 110 now, right?
no, right now it's still around this price.
Okay, not
yeah,
so
yeah.
bad.
So still
Famous
safe.
last words. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, but we share a lot of these ideas, potential multi-baggers
Yeah.
in our upcoming webinars.
This is going to be a very, very, very exciting webinar. So if you know, we do webinars like that maybe 4 times, 5 times a year, and you might think this is the same old ones. But we are going to be introducing something very exciting, right, inside this webinar that has never been reviewed before. And if you know, at the end of these webinars, we typically talk about FIRL Pro and how you can get it for a very sweet discount. And it's only for 300 people, right? That's our max capacity. However, there is now a chance for you to get potentially FIRL Pro for free.
Yeah, spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert, right? So you really want to join this training because not only are you going to learn a lot, but you're going to get even more value for free. So the trainings, the title will be how to find 10 baggers in 2026. It's happening on the 13th this month. So within a week or less than a week, once you watch this video, 8:30 p.m. Right? So if you want to join, the QR code is right in front of you. Just use your phone, or you can go into the comment section or description for the links. And if you still don't know what Pro is about, well, basically, it's our way of helping people shortcut their research journey. Research is a very long and painful process, but it's unavoidable. You have to do it unless you just want to be a speculator and you want to gamble your money. If you don't want to gamble your money, you have to do research. But in order to do research, you need to put in time and effort. So even if you are someone who is willing, let's say you're not very lazy, you will still need to have time. And even, I'm sure many of you are hardworking, you want to put in the effort, but you just can't find it, right? You have many jobs, you have children, right? Or sometimes you're just tired at the end of the day because of all the traffic in KL, right? And by the time you get home, you eat dinner, it's already 9, 10 p.m., it's time for bed for a lot of you, and you can't even spend an hour or two on the analyzing in the stock market. Now, with just 15 to 30 minutes a day, that's what the program is there for, right? Is to help you shortcut your research journey by 90%. How do we do it? Mainly through write-ups so that you can read the thing. Takes you no more than a cup of coffee to finish the articles write-up, and you will know 90% of what you need to know. And we also have a community to help you with any further questions. And many, many other things like a reference portfolio so you know how to build a professional stock market portfolio.
Yes.
If you want to get this, check out the free sample, also in the links and comment section below. And with that, guys, see you in the next video. Bye-bye.